Hey guys, Tom here from the Investing with Tom YouTube channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, hit like, hit subscribe, and that way you can see future videos as well. So we're into a new year and a new decade, and that means only one thing in the investing sort of YouTube community: Recession 2020 videos. If you haven't seen some already, it seems to have become a tradition every single year for these types of videos to start popping up on YouTube. And if you haven't seen some already, they'll no doubt continue to pop up over the next few months. So I want to give my perspective on the whole thing, not necessarily talking about whether I think there's going to be a recession or anything like that. There's plenty of videos on YouTube already talking about that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be a doomsday predictor or anything like that. It may happen, it may not. We will just have to see. But what I do want to give you my perspective on is what I think the best sort of recession-proof stock out there is at the moment. I think there's a tendency of a lot of people to go towards more stable businesses, something like a Coca-Cola or a Procter & Gamble, or something that's been around a very long time and pays out a lot of dividend money and those sorts of things. The trouble with that strategy for me is twofold. So first off, everyone likes to go to those stocks at the same time, and you end up with a company like Coca-Cola, for example, trading as if it was, a highly growing company. So it's, trading at 30 times earnings, and I'll put up a screenshot here of their revenue and earnings history over the last few years. And you'll see that we've got a business that's basically in decline, trading at 30 times earnings, which is ridiculous. So you get a lot of that when you tend to try to get into these defensive stocks, as people like to call them. And they're generally not particularly great long-term investments moving forward if you pay a large price for them. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that if we don't have a recession and you're in one of these businesses, your returns over the long term probably aren't going to be great. You're getting away from the companies that are producing long-term earnings growth and have a lot of a long runway still to grow, and you're getting into these very, very mature businesses where you might get a few percent in dividends each year, and that's basically about it. You're probably not going to get a huge amount long term from stock price appreciation. So those are a couple of the issues with the more traditional sort of approach to picking a more defensive or recession-proof type stock. So I want to give my perspective on what I think is the best choice. Don't take this as financial advice or anything like that. But if I was to take this sort of approach in my own portfolio, this is the company that I would really be looking at, and a couple of reasons why. So it's a good balance between being very well positioned to take advantage of a recession, not just survive, but actually thrive and prosper long term from having crashes in stock prices, and a company that, if we don't have a recession, will continue to do very well, produce a high return on capital, and be great for compounding your money over the long term. So let's get into it, and we'll talk through a few reasons why. So if you haven't guessed it already, the stock we're going to be talking about today is Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett has been extremely inspirational to me in learning a lot about investing and in sort of forming a lot of my strategy to investing. And Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett's company. He's taken it over in the late 60s, early 70s, has been basically managing their money for a very, very long time, acquiring several businesses over a very long period of time as well, and producing great returns for shareholders. It's compounded money from that early point at about 20% a year up until today. So extreme returns over a very, very long period of time, and that's how you become one of the wealthiest people in history. So that's how Warren Buffett got there. In terms of why I think they are very, very well positioned for a recession but still have the growth, it comes down to a couple of things. So let's talk about their sort of recession proofness first. From a financing and sort of balance sheet perspective, they have got debt. It is minuscule in the grand scheme of the equity that the business has. So it's really not a concern for me. So something that Warren Buffett himself actually says quite often is you don't see her swimming naked till the tide goes out. And from a business perspective, that basically means when we do have a recession and we do have poor economic conditions, those companies that have a lot of debt, a lot of leverage, tend to be the first ones to sort of keel over. So Berkshire Hathaway is definitely not in that position. The position that they are in is a position of having a bucket load of cash. So I'm going to put up a screenshot of their balance sheet here. You may have seen articles or videos before talking about Warren Buffett sitting on 120 billion or whatever it is in cash. As of their last quarterly report, that figure is 128 billion, and I'm going to sort of highlight the three rows that people tend to add together when they're calculating that. So it's not literally in cash in like a savings account or anything like that. The vast majority of it is in short-term T-bills, so sort of 3-month bonds, US government bonds, and those sorts of things. They've got a little bit in the railroad business, but you'll see that on the balance sheet screenshot up here. So if you add those three rows together, you get 128 billion. The market cap of Berkshire Hathaway at the moment is right around 450 to 500 billion, somewhere in that range. So you're looking at close to a third of their market cap of the overall sort of value of the business, literally just sitting in cash or cash equivalents, short-term money that's going to be available to buy things when prices are cheap. You've got that percentage just sitting there basically ready to go. So that's the main reason why I really like Berkshire from this perspective. Warren Buffett is a value investor at core. He loves bargain hunting and finding great investments. And he's the kind of guy that will deploy a lot of money when prices get cheap. Just because I'm saying this stock I think is relatively recession-proof, it doesn't mean that the stock price won't go down. It's certainly prone to 40 and 50% drops. But at that time when the stock does go down, there tends to be a whole bunch of other stocks also going down, which Warren Buffett can then acquire at very kind of bargain basement discount type prices and producing great returns over the long term. So that's Berkshire from a financing perspective. In terms of their current businesses, if we don't have a recession and we have to rely on the performance of existing businesses rather than acquiring new assets at cheap prices, I think Warren Buffett has done a phenomenal job of acquiring great businesses over a long period of time. There's not too much else to say on that other than the businesses produce very high internal returns, so return on equity, return on invested capital type numbers. It just spews cash. Basically all of the businesses that they own, especially the larger ones, just spew out cash, and you've got literally, that's how this cash pile's been built, right? Is all these internal businesses that Berkshire owns just been incredibly profitable. So no concerns there at all. So that's my view on the positive side for Berkshire Hathaway. I do want to get into a couple of the negatives that many people bring up, and some of the ones that I actually agree with for the most part as well. So let's get into that. These are some things you should also be aware of. So the first thing you should be aware of is Warren Buffett has actually been struggling to deploy money over the last few years. It's one of the reasons that this cash pile has gotten so large, is he simply just hasn't been able to find good investment opportunities. So in terms of Berkshire being actually able to deploy a lot of that cash, we really are going to actually need some sort of stock market crash or recession. So he's not the type of guy that's going to stretch on valuations and pay up at inappropriate times and pay ridiculous valuations or anything like that. And he's at such a scale now where his universe of investment opportunities has slowly sort of shrunk over time, and now it's down to a very small group of companies, maybe 30, 40, 50 on the planet that he can really invest in. And by their very nature, those are large, highly followed companies that don't often get mispriced. So we really are going to need some big market fluctuations in order for a lot of that cash to actually be deployed. So if we don't have a recession, probably the long-term returns are going to be a little bit less favorable than if we do have a recession, which is a pretty interesting setup for a company that's not a very common kind of occurrence at all. So that's my first main concern with Berkshire Hathaway as a long-term investment. If we just continue having this massive bull market like we have done, it could be a very, very long time before a lot of that capital gets deployed. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just more of a warning than anything. Berkshire's compounded money at 20%, like I say, for a long period of time. That rate of return has slowly come down over time. So do not expect it by any means to continue to do 20% a year. It's almost guaranteed that it won't. For basically very similar reasons to what I just said. Their investment universe is now much smaller. They're working with huge amounts of money, and to compound a lot of money at very high rates is a lot trickier than compounding small amounts of money at high rates. He can't get into these weird little companies that are very undervalued, or they're trading at a market cap that's less than the cash they have in their books, or any of these unique situations that Buffett used to be able to get into sort of back in the day. So certainly don't expect it to do 20% a year, but it's probably likely to be quite a favorable investment nonetheless. And my final concern is sort of the elephant in the room with Berkshire Hathaway, which is the fact that Warren is now 89 years old. So he is an old man. He's not going to be around forever. This is the type of investment that there are some very, very long-term shareholders, and even newer shareholders are likely to be very long-term investors. And one of the main issues is that Warren is unfortunately not going to be with us for, another 40 years. So there are going to be other managers coming into the business to manage capital. I think there's a couple of pros and cons to this. So the first thing that is going to help us with this issue is that Warren has next to nothing to do with the day-to-day management of many of the Berkshire Hathaway subsidiaries. They very much leave the individual company managers to their own devices to run their own businesses. They set up their compensation agreements in a way that incentivizes those managers to act in the interests of Berkshire and in a very shareholder-friendly way, and then they basically leave them to it. So in terms of the wholly owned subsidiaries, I don't expect many downsides, if any, when Warren is eventually no longer at Berkshire. The place where there probably is going to be a slight reduction in talent, I guess for lack of a better word, is with acquiring new businesses and investing in new stocks. So there's a couple of new managers there, Todd Combs and Ted Wexler. I may have just got those first and last names around the wrong way, but I think that's right. They've been with Berkshire for actually several years now, and they are managing north of $10 billion each for their respective stock market portfolios. So they are likely to be moving into the capital allocation shoes of Buffett when he is no longer in the business. They do have great track records, but they're certainly not Buffett-like. So it will be interesting to see what happens. Personally, I feel like we'll be in pretty good hands. If Buffett is going to take on anyone, they're going to be incredibly talented, and they're going to be very good people as well. So that's the big elephant in the room. I think for the most part, we'll be pretty well off. Like I say, the subsidiaries are going to be very well run, regardless of whether Warren's there or not. Ted and Todd are not going to leverage the hell out of the company or make ridiculous investments in high-flying stocks or anything like that. So that's my thoughts. That's why I think Berkshire is one of the more recession-proof stocks out there that people often overlook. Again, don't take that as financial advice. This is just my opinion and all those sorts of things. But that's my thoughts. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.